Hey guys, tonight we slip beneath a half-moon sky, where torches sputter against marble columns and the Forum Romanum hums like an open-air beehive after curfew. You stroll past the Temple of Saturn, sandals tapping travertine warmed by a day's worth of politics, and realize right away you probably won't survive this dating scene without either tripping over a senator's sandal strap or mispronouncing salve with tourist enthusiasm. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Don't forget to post your location and local time so we know whether you're flirting from Phoenix or dozing in Dubrovnik. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step into the bustling night market the Romans call the Nundini Lunae. Moon shopping, a casual extension of the daylight bazaar that doubles as a singles mixer once lamps are lit. Oil lanterns hang from wooden stalls, their glow bouncing off bronze scales and glistening olives. Vendors hawk honey-soaked dates, cheap perfume, and glass bangles rumored to shimmer brighter in candlelight. Joke 1-1. Instagram filters have nothing on olive oil and optimism. A pair of flute players fill the air with tipsy trills. The tune is basically elevator music for anyone scouting a potential spouse among baskets of cabbages. Mainstream historical fact: elite Romans arranged most marriages by family contract, but plenty of everyday courting still happened in public places like the Forum after sundown, where freedmen, artisans, and even off-duty legionaries swapped jokes over spiced wine. You pass a group of toga-clad bachelors inspecting pomegranates, not for ripeness but as conversation starters. Yes, fruit pickup lines are older than Julius Caesar's comb-over. A spicy scent, coriander and fried dormouse, draws you toward a snack cart. Here casual daters hover, nibbling pastries stuffed with honeyed ricotta, so they can hold food near the face and supposedly keep breath sweeter than the Tiber at dawn. Quirky tidbit: some Romans chewed myrrh-laced gum before approaching a crush, which sounds romantic until you realize the resin-glued mouths shut more efficiently than a stern matron. You drift past, eavesdropping on a young scribe rehearsing lines. Pulchra s, can I carry your water jug? Joke 2. Chivalry's just another word for free weightlifting. Everywhere, curious eyes flicker beneath hooded cloaks. A baker's daughter flicks flour from her sleeve like fairy dust. Two flax merchants pretend to debate thread count while sneaking glances at each other's ring fingers. As you wander, you feel tonight's moon acting as both spotlight and censor. Bright enough to outline features but kind enough to blur flaws. Marble statues loom in niches, silent chaperones reminding everyone that even gods gossip. You pause under a fig tree where a flute solo bends into minor key. A slave-born matchmaker, her tunic pockets jingling with bronze arses, offers discreet introductions for a modest fee. She claims to know which butcher's apprentice recently inherited a goat farm and which seamstress secretly speaks Greek, valuable in households, angling for cultured in-laws. Historians still argue whether these go-betweens performed genuine social service or merely monetized rumor, but her clientele grows each time she promises first look at tomorrow's eligible widows. You slip her a coin for insider tour. Joke 3. Modern dating apps never smelled this much like garum. She leads you through the Forum's portico, where marble columns cast zebra stripes across limestone. Here potential couples linger near amphora of Falernian wine set out as tasting samples. You watch a mason's apprentice pour 2 cups, accidentally dribbling crimson onto his tunic. The stain spreads like battle map, yet his companion only laughs. Shared clumsiness beats scripted charm every century. Lantern light flickers across their shy smiles, and you note how ordinary mishaps become courtship legends recounted years later over nursery fires. A senator's son strides by, tunic bright as fresh parchment, flanked by 2 freedmen holding bronze mirrors so he can check his curls. Call it ancient Rome's version of the bathroom selfie. He pauses beside a perfume seller, selects vial of rose and saffron essence, and discreetly anoints his neck. The matchmaker whispers that such scents cost a week's wages, but advertise both wealth and staying power. Still, many locals joke that too much perfume signals more ego than denarii. You catch a faint whiff, rich, complicated, slightly theatrical, and think he smells like one of Jupiter's better thunderbolts. As you continue, the matchmaker points to graffiti scratched into a column base. I melt like wax when I see you, Livia. Evidence that not all love letters needed wax seals. Couples sometimes traded poetic one-liners here, trusting passers-by to guess identities. She guides you to a corner where fresh chalk marks form tiny fish. Secret Christian signal, but tonight they double as arrows pointing toward a less patrolled alley favored by shy sweethearts. You linger at a fountain where water gurgles over lion-head spouts. Tradition says tossing a copper coin under moonlight, while murmuring a beloved's name, ensures a second meeting. Several youths line up, palms sweaty, coins ready. You toss one too. Why not? It plinks, ripples, then settles among bronze glimmers. A cool mist rises, carrying hints of time from nearby gardens, and you imagine hundreds of whispered wishes layering like sediment on the basin floor. 3 light jokes tucked into folds of sensory detail. You slide deeper into Rome's nocturnal heart, realizing the forum at night feels like a living kaleidoscope. Glint of bronze scales, shuffle of sandals, purr of distant lyre, and heartbeat-quick thrill of maybe spotting the gaze that meets yours longer than polite. Yet you also sense how public this intimacy is. Every flirtation swims under the eyes of patrons, parents, and marble gods. Lamp oil wanes, vendors snuff wicks one by one. Your matchmaker guide pockets final coins, bids quiet farewell, and disappears into archway shadows. You stand alone now, moon splashing silver across flagstones, matching breaths with hush of fountain. Somewhere beyond basilica arches, a rooster tests dawn too early. Night's marketplace of hearts begins folding stalls, but possibilities still shimmer in olive-scented air. You turn, ready to follow those possibilities into dimmer lanes, heart steadied by mantra. The matchmaker muttered in Rome, love walks on sandal soles, and every step counts. You duck beneath an arch of ivy, and re-enter the marketplace from a quieter side aisle, stepping into a canyon of clay. Towering stacks of amphorae, big-bellied wine jars painted with faded vines and sea monsters, rise left and right like terracotta skyscrapers. Lanterns dangle from iron hooks, casting warm pools of honey light that turn every vessel's glaze into liquid sunset. Between these giant urns weave clusters of hopefuls, turning storage aisles into the empire's most unplanned speed-dating corridor. A shy baker's assistant pretends to inspect an amphora's stamp. A stamped dolphin means coastal vintage, he murmurs, but really he's stealing glances at a sandal-strapped wool dyer, 2 jars down. She, in turn, traces resin streaks on another jar's rim while gauging his biceps, broad enough to knead a legion's daily bread. Joke 1 flickers. Modern dating profiles list hobbies. Here, forearm dough strength does the flirting. Mainstream historical fact. Amphora stamps actually recorded origin, capacity, and tax status. Savvy shoppers could identify whether a jar's contents came from Hispania's vineyards or Sicily's oil presses. Tonight, those stamps double as conversation prompts. You trail a mosaic artisan who taps a jar and remarks, "Brindisium red, robust and not too sour." The olive merchant he's wooing responds, "Like my mother's temper." Laughter vines upward. A connection is spackled in place like tesserae. You pause beside a massive jar labelled Sabinum oleum, its wax seal still unbroken. A young soldier sketches his reflection in the glossy glaze, adjusting laurel-embroidered cloak. His idea of subtle checking which profile angle hides a missing front tooth earned near the Rhine. A seamstress appears, fingers calloused from spinning, and he greets her by offering to carry her spool basket. She declines, spine straight as Pilum, and counters by critiquing his reflection sketch. "Your jawline needs fewer battle dents." He grins, dent and all. Joke 2 sighs. Creative nagging, ancient Rome's answer to swiping left. Oil lamps perched atop amphora necks flicker each time a breeze sneaks through portico columns, making shadows dance across the clay bellies. Friends hover, silently grading performances. One group of potters arranges amphorae in a semicircle, leaving narrow passage for suitors to parade. Each successful flirtation earns a conspiratorial thumbs up from behind the jars, echo of modern friends hiding behind potted plants at cafes. Quirky tidbit, some prankster potters carve tiny cupid arrows into handles, Spotting one supposedly ensures the next person you greet will kiss you before Saturnalia. You run fingertips along a handle, no arrow, but there's always another jar. A hush ripples when a matron in stola of deep saffron glides through, flanked by two discreet maids. She carries parchment list of eligible men, mostly scribes and minor magistrates compiled by her husband, although she's really here to see them walk to check posture and calf definition. She marks small dots beside names as each candidate pretends to fuss over amphora temperature. Historians still argue whether these moonlit inspections genuinely influenced betrothal contracts or merely satisfied curiosity before lawyers sealed dowries. Either way, you sense hearts pounding louder than the merchant haggling 3 stalls away. You edge near a row of fish sauce amphorae, garum barrels, pungent as low tide, but they host a fearless pair, a perfumer's apprentice and a barber. Both chase bold smells all day, so garum fumes barely faze them. They talk nose to nose about mixing pine resin with myrtle to craft signature cologne. Their laughter somersaults over briny air. You almost gag yet admire their dedication. Joke 3 swims in. Nothing says destiny like meeting someone whose nostrils survive fermented mackerel. Shifting deeper into jar labyrinth, you find temporary seating, amphora lids repurposed as stools. Couples perch, knees nearly touching. One pot shows chalk tic-tac-toe grids, evidence that waiting hearts pass time with games while parents inspect dowries. A musician strums a cithara softly, producing plucked notes that echo like water droplets in a bathhouse. Coins clink into his ceramic tip bowl. Each donation buys a verse of love poetry attributed to Catullus, though half of it is probably improvised. You settle on a lid yourself, breathing cool clay scent. A wine seller approaches, offers wooden dipper of Falernian. He winks and claims couples who sip from same ladle wed within a year. You decline the bet, but watch others lean in, lip to lip on polished wood. Some grimace, vintage more vinegar than nectar, but still trade shy smiles. Love, it seems, can bloom in sour soil. Behind a pillar, 2 teenage girls hide, giggling as they carve initials into soft plaster mortar between stones. One draws a heart, then quickly smears it flat, shy of watchful eyes. You recall the baker's assistant still hovering near wool dyer. Perhaps tomorrow their initials will dry beside these. You chalk mental note. Remember how love leaves physical graffiti for future callback after we visit balcony serenades. A sudden shuffle draws attention. Municipal slave carrying torch inspects amphora row, ensuring no broken jars or illicit trysts in progress. Couples part like Mediterranean waves, but only for a moment. Once torch recedes, they reconverge. Torchlight revealed chipped jar where secret message appears, scratched in quick strokes. Tertia, meet me at dawn by the Milvian Bridge. You imagine M standing breath held somewhere nearby, praying. Tertia sees note before jar sells. Such messages often ride amphorae across provinces. Antiquities long distance DM. Lamp oil dwindles. Potter's cap flames with bronze discs. The amphora canyon darkens to dreamy amber, enough to silhouette figures leaning closer. Somewhere a dropped dipper's clink startles a pair into nervous chuckles. Overhead constellations wheel, maybe Venus smiles. Her festival approaches soon, promising more structured mingling among temple baths. For now, forum's amphora aisles suffice, echoing with low laughs, whispered compliments, a few awkward burps from hurried wine tastings. You rise, legs tingling. Sandal soles crunch olive pits left on stones. Rome's version of popcorn kernels under cinema seats. Your night's social cartography expands. Fruit stalls for light banter, amphora aisles for semi-private negotiations. Ahead lies the Circus Maximus, where flutters of linen handkerchiefs serve as coded flirt signals during chariot thunder. But before you leave Clay Canyon, you glance back. Rows of jars stand silent once more, yet inside each may lurk new notes, new perfume experiments, new hope awaiting next moonrise. Your own heart muscles a little warmer. Maybe it's Falernian fumes, maybe the sight of strangers daring tenderness among towering clay giants. Either way, you step out, carrying amphora echo in your pulse, ready to test Rome's other dating courts, because in this city, every public space moonlights as Cupid's open-plan office. You follow a rippling ribbon of laughter toward the Basilica Aemilia, whose long portico offers shade by day and gossip grotto by night. Columns climb into darkness like giant flutes, and between them hover clusters of slave-born matchmakers called ambubae linguae, tongues for hire. They don't play flutes, but their soft chatter can orchestrate an entire dating market. Tonight their hushed voices flutter through Marble Arcade, trading secrets faster than Senate votes on tax grain. Your sandals whisper across mosaic floor, and instantly one matchmaker glides to intercept a petite woman with henna-stained fingertips and eyes sharp as a hawk stalking bakery crumbs. She lifts her hand in greeting, palm up, never missing a step. The implied price is clear. 1 bronze coin buys 1 tantalizing detail about your prospective beloved. You drop the coin, and her fingers close over it like petals. Joke 1 murmurs. Tinder swipe fees were cheaper, but the user interface lacked henna. Mainstream historical fact: freed or enslaved, go-betweens frequently handled delicate introductions in ancient Rome, especially when social rank made direct courting awkward. Legally, some even registered with praetors as proxenetae, professional brokers of marriage negotiations, dowry bargains, and discreet rendezvous. But many worked the informal night circuit, weaving networks through whispers and owed favors. She leans close, breath smelling faintly of honeyed balsam. You seek someone clever, she coos. Perhaps Julia, the wool dyer. You nod non-committally. She tucks a lock of hair behind ear, revealing small brass earring engraved with Mercury's caduceus, subtle brand mark of speed and confidentiality. Her guardian is her uncle, a barber with debts. Bring 2 jars of Iberian olive oil and mention your bakery connection. Doors will open. She pauses, nails tapping lips, but catch of breath for dramatic effect. If you instead fancy the scribe Tertius, wait near the statue of Castor at noon. He passes daily with fresh ink stains on cuff. You thank her with 2nd coin. She slides sideways into column shadow, immediately bartering tidbits to a toga-clad teen clutching pomegranate. It's like watching stock traders under candlelight, information currency flickering from palm to palm. Quirky tidbit: some matchmakers sprinkled powdered magnetite on tunics. Romans believed it lured secrets the way magnets draw iron, a marketing gimmick decades ahead of pheromone cologne. Scanning colonnade, you notice rival matchmakers. One tall man jingles bunch of bronze keys. Rumor claims each key unlocks message boxes hidden around the city, primitive mailboxes where love notes exchange hands. Another wears wooden abacus strapped to wrist, tallying dowry estimates on the fly. Historians still argue whether these gadgets enhanced credibility or were mere theatrical props, but no one questions their hustle. The ambiance feels part souk, part rumor exchange, part therapy session, all beneath moonlit dome of gossip. A group of matrons cluster near a pillar etched with old graffiti. Remember, I melt like wax. They clutch tiny wax tablets, scanning lists of suitors compiled by families. A matchmaker smooths their anxiety, suggesting polite checkpoints. Tonight's conversation at Portico, tomorrow's gift of dried figs, festival outing if smiles persist. She pockets a handful of bronze as consultation fee. Joke 2 coos. In Rome, even shy blushes earn commission. You observe her process. She cross-references star charts, scribbled on wax. Astrologers claim Venus in favorable house means easier dowry talks. She whispers birth hour predictions. Wedding by next harvest moon if Saturn behaves. Scholars today debate how seriously Romans took astrological matchmaking. Latin letters suggest some couples timed engagements around celestial forecasts, while Stoic philosophers mocked star-crossed romance as cosmic excuse for poor choices. Yet here planetary gossip sells. A nervous freedman approaches matchmaker Q, clutching carved ivory comb. He hopes to impress a perfumer's apprentice, but fears smelling like fish sauce from his day job at Garum warehouse. One matchmaker offers secret remedy: chew parsley and rinse tunic in bay leaf infusion. She pockets coin, though success remains to be sniff tested. Joke 3 whispers, the first minty fresh campaign led by Parsley PR. You drift between columns, eavesdropping on trades. Snippets swirl. Her dowry is 30 pounds of wool. He owns half a bakery in Trastevere. She writes poetry on amphora shards. It's like listening to marketplace floor, where commodities are hearts and reputations. One elderly broker, hair silver as Luna, shares cautionary tale. Last month she arranged meeting that accidentally paired twin brothers with same widow. Chaos ensued. Lesson, always verify birthmark. A lull settles. Torches low. Matchmakers huddle, pooling intel for tomorrow. They shuffle wax tablets, update mental maps. Who smiled at whom? Whose father eyed olive oil jar? In this data stockpile, you glimpse raw humanity. Hopes, fears, dowry, math filtered through cunning survival of people denied citizenship, yet steering social currents. Before leaving arcade, you approach henna-fingered broker again. Offer final coin for personal insight. What if I seek no match tonight, only story? She smiles, eyes softening. Then remember, stranger, love in Rome walks in many sandals, some gilded, some cracked, all leave footprints. She presses amphora-shaped clay token into your palm. Drop this in Tiber at sunrise. Rumor says the river carries wishes to Maya. You nod, slip token into pouch, callback fuel for future festival scenes. Stepping into open square, you glance back as matchmakers douse lanterns. Their silhouettes blur into columns, living caryatids upholding invisible roof of Roman romance. You pocket new knowledge, olive oil leverage, ink-stained timings, Saturn's whimsy, and stride on towards Circus Maximus, where handkerchief codes flutter with chariot dust. The night's playlist continues. Same ASMR hush, sandal scuffs, distant flute, whispered coins sliding into cunning palms. Your night stroll resumes, enriched by mercenary Cupid agents who trade futures of hearts like high-yield bonds. And you, listener, tuck these secrets behind your earlobes just in case you ever need a henna-tipped handshake beneath marble columns bathed in moonlight. You emerge from the quiet hum of the basilica onto the sloping avenue that spills toward Rome's noisiest love arena, the Circus Maximus. Dawn's lavender edge is hours away, and yet torches flare in rusty sconces, lighting the path like a molten ribbon for late-night revelers. Chariot practice won't begin until sunrise, but the massive track hosts its own after-hours ritual, one where handkerchiefs flutter like migrating doves, steering hearts faster than any four-horse quadriga. The limestone seating tiers, built to hold 200,000 thunder-throated fans, now cradle scattered clusters of hopefuls perched on warm stone benches. A salt-heavy breeze snakes up from the Tiber, ruffling togas and lifting the perfume of trampled basil leaves littering the arena floor. You step onto the track's packed sand, still grooved from yesterday's races, and your sandals imprint over hoof scars. A boy with a broom sweeps random debris, mainly fig stems and lost betting tokens, while humming a lullaby that rhymes victory with sweetheart in lazy dactyls. Mainstream historical fact: Romans loved coded courtship at the races. Literary sources mention ladies waving colored strips of cloth, maperamatoria, to signal availability, clan allegiance, or cheeky wagers. A white drop might invite polite conversation. Crimson hinted at bold interest. Striped cloth could signify already spoken for, but flattered. Like modern stadium kiss cams, everyone pretended not to watch, while secretly reading textile semaphore. Tonight, the stands shimmer with these intimate pennants, even in torchlight. You climb halfway up the cava, choosing a vantage between two marble pilasters where shadows pool. A lute player plucks soft chords from beneath a wolfskin cloak. A pair of sisters nearby unfurl silk handkerchiefs embroidered with pearls, far fancier than a plebeian purse should allow. They whisper about positioning. Over the left shoulder signals they seek poets. Over the right invites athletes. One sister drapes hers over right, sighing that lyric mush bores her. She wants biceps like marble reliefs. Joke one slips. Tinder's swipe right was apparently lifted straight from her silk right technique. Below, a baker's apprentice. Our dough-armed friend from the amphora aisle paces, gaze fixed on the stands. He clutches a linen kerchief dyed dusty rose, fidgeting the hem. Your henna-fingered matchmaker's tip about the wool dyer echoes in your ear. Olive oil plus bakery connection. You watch him search for her. You scan Rose and spot her rolling spindle of yarn like nervous rosary. She hasn't noticed him yet. Your pulse picks up on his behalf. Suddenly, the morning maintenance crew enters the infield. 3 stable hands guiding skittish horses to cool-down loops. Lantern light glints off sweaty flanks. This is when the flirt ritual truly heats. Hands wave cloth in patterned beats. Timing drops to coincide with horses trotting past. Why? Because hoofbeats drown accidental squeals and allow secret messages to be retrieved without parental ears catching. Quirky tidbit. Some lovers stitched miniature lead weights into cloth corners so dropped signals wouldn't drift off course. Early precision airdrop technology. You spot noble youths practicing. A toga-clad teen flicks emerald silk onto the rail. Just as a mare clops by, an armor polisher dives forward, scoops the fabric, and tucks it into breastplate like sacred relic. He winks up at her. She blushes faint coral in torch glow. Historians still argue whether collected kerchiefs served as proof of conquest or tokens for lengthy courting. Some letters suggest men displayed them on shield straps in parades, while satirists mocked those peacock pennants as laundry trophies. A trumpet's short blare announces stable inspection. Most couples freeze. Trumpet wasn't part of the hush plan. Your baker seizes the moment. He breathes deep, hurls his rose cloth high. It arcs under torchlight, sails across a gap, and lands beside the yarn spindle. The wool dyer startles, lifts cloth, fingers the hem to decode dye color. You see understanding bloom in her eyes. She smiles and tugs a loop of yarn free, knotting it around cloth before tossing it back. Their 2 crafts now literally intertwined. Joke 2 hums. Who says carbs and carding can't be soulmates? You descend steps to track level as stable boys finish rounds. A horse snorts. Sand scatters in lantern glow. Attendants applaud. Muted knuckle taps when they notice successful exchanges. Among them, a retired charioteer turned courting coach offers whispered tips. Aim for high arcs. Time with 4th hoofbeat. Trust the downdraft. For 2 copper coins, he'll train your throw accuracy tomorrow. Side hustle, ancient Rome style. Near starting gates, mosaics depict earlier champions steering alabaster steeds. Couples stand there for good luck blessings, relationship takeoffs. They joke. A wine cellar ladles thinned Falernian into shared wooden cups. Drink at starting meter, wed before final lap. Tradition claims. Have a sip, and sour sweet wine coats tongue. Warming throat against cool night. Joke 3 taps. Whatever the recipe, its placebo power sends more couples to altars than any senator's speech. As final torches gutter, caretakers motion everyone out to prep for dawn arena raking. Lovers disperse through vomitoria passages, cloth messages folded, hearts drumming. You 2 file out, mind replaying fluttering textiles and hoof-muffled secrets. Outside, Palatine Hill silhouettes against navy sky. Birds gossip in stone niches. Soon first light will paint them gold. But for now, you tuck mental souvenir, a phantom rustle of silk, measured by hoof cadence, into pouch beside Maya token. Callbacks ripple. Amphora graffiti promised bridges at dawn. Maybe baker and dyer will cross Milvian together. Token in river swirling wishes. You stride toward temple baths, where Venus's festival rituals simmer in torches. The circus's signal language may sleep until next race, but your night of Roman romance still gallops on, guided not by horses, but by fluttering cloth and quickening heartbeats. Torches surrender to starlight, as you follow a ribbon of laughter away from the circus and into a narrow vicus lined with craft stalls that never truly close. Bronze wind chimes tinkle overhead. Their soft ping sets the tempo for a different, quieter phase of courtship, the trading of portable promises. This alley brims with artisans who carve devotion into anything small enough to hide in a tunic fold, because in Rome, love often travels incognito, tucked beside a wax tablet or stitched into a sandal strap. You pause before a woodworker's booth where fig wood curls litter the counter like cinnamon shavings. He shapes 6-sided dice no larger than olive pits, each pip replaced by minuscule Latin letters. Roll Lubet, you spell lubit, it pleases. Roll Amor and fate all but shrugs. Love's on. Couples buy pairs of these dice, pocket them, then secretly roll during dull temple services to consult Venus. Joke 1 whispers, the Romans basically invented Tinder swipe dice. Left for nope, right for marry me yesterday. Mainstream historical fact. Roman sweethearts did exchange tangible love tokens. Betrothal rings, anoli pronubi, were usually iron to symbolize strength, though wealthier families commissioned gold bands engraved with clasped hands motifs. Dextrarum. Archaeologists unearthed these rings by the dozens, often worn thin on inner edge from decades of fiddling. Apparently nervous fidgeting predates pockets. Tonight the goldsmith 2 stalls down files a garnet intaglio of Cupid driving a chariot. He'll set it into a plain hoop, ready for tomorrow's anxious groom to hide beneath toga folds until the right balcony moment. You lean closer as he presses the gem onto beeswax to reveal imprint. Cupid brandishes whip, but reins loop toward empty seat space for a partner. Shoppers sigh, symbolism lands smoother than the Falernian you tasted earlier. He lifts finished ring with bronze tongs so heat doesn't dull shine. A builder buying roof tiles sidles up, trades a promise of discounted marble in exchange for rush service. Even love runs on business credit. A quirky tidbit gleams from a nearby stall, where a silversmith sells lockets shaped like miniature amphorae. Instead of wine, they hold drops of scented oil. Popular fragrance this season, Rosa Myrtle Mars, rumoured to attract soldiers with steady pensions. She also offers micro-scrolls, papyrus strips so thin they could wrap a sparrow's ankle, pre-inked with riddles only lovers can interpret. One reads, I hold you though I'm empty, break me and I spill. The answer, the amphora locket itself. Joke 2 edges in, Hallmark would sue, but papyrus lawyers are still in clay. Past the silversmith sits a gem cutter, showcasing carnelian seals carved with paired swans. He dips each in lamp soot, then stamps a wax blob to demonstrate. 2 swans' necks form heartish curve. Copyright pending, 1st century BCE. Buyers intend to press seals onto bread loaves or laundry tags, marking property and affection in one gesture. Historians still argue whether such seals served practical family bookkeeping or flaunted relationships to nosy neighbours. Letters from Ovid suggest both. He teased friends for stamping lovers' portraits on literally anything that could melt wax. You wander on, palm-brushing stall rails until you reach a humble table draped in purple cloth. A grey-bearded vendor named Iovinus specialises in recycled intaglios. He scrapes imperial busts off old stones, re-engraves fresh love scenes, then mounts them into cheap bronze. Pre-loved, he winks, for fresh love. He swears some gems carry leftover fortune from past owners. Buy one and inherit their wedded bliss or their debt. He offers you a stone once depicting Emperor Caligula. Now it shows 2 clasped doves. Price slashed because Caligula's eyebrows still faintly visible if you squint. Joke 3 advises, always vet gem's previous tenant. Ex-tyrants can be tough roommates. Near a fountain sits a tiny kiosk where a red-haired boy sells walnut halves glued back together with wax. Crack one open to find mini lead tablets stamped with phrases "Eam by Simingere" or "Tuchsim, I am yours." Lovers exchange and promise to eat the nut together later, symbolizing union. The boy demonstrates by splitting one for you. Inside, the lead reads "Video me, see me." He shrugs. Maybe tonight, maybe next full moon. You pay 2 coppers, souvenir or destiny. Time will chew that answer. A gentle commotion draws your gaze to a group of teenagers gathered around a reed basket of dyed bird feathers. They braid them into simple rings, cheap tokens for hearts with lighter dowries. One girl picks blue feather, tucks it behind ear of shy boy, effectively labeling him taken until morning. He blushes so hard, even torchlight giggles. Feather rings fray by dawn, but feelings who knows? Feather logic is, if it lasts one night, perhaps it deserves iron next time. Across the alley, a troupe of street performers acts out playful breakup scene. Girl flings clay dice at boy, dice crack revealing hidden message, nunc vale, now farewell. Crowd laughs, boy mugs heartbreak, but another performer catches shell of broken die, flips it to reveal aut crass or tomorrow. Everyone cheers reconciliation. Merchants applaud, good marketing. You pocket note, even heartbreak merch sells eventually. The alley's hum dims as artisans quench silver in troughs. Candles sputter low. You feel weight of your newly purchased amphora token. Walnut fortune, Maybe even that Caligula dove gem if you were brave enough. These trinkets jingle softly in pouch, a percussion line to accompany your footsteps toward next venue. Balcony serenades and rogue poets etching graffiti beneath moon-bleached travertine. Before leaving, you glance back at dice carver packing tools. He catches your eye, rolls final cube toward you. It stops on letter set. SOMNUS. Sleep, fitting cue for our bedtime wander. He winks, pockets cube and disappears into shadow. You turn, guided by torchlit corridor, carrying pocketful of tiny vows. Proof that in Rome, affection can be as loud as a chariot crash, or as small as a letter etched on a grain of ivory. Moon climbs higher, breeze cooler, olive branches whisper overhead like parchment rustle. Somewhere lovers test dice in rented atrium, praying for AMOR to align. Somewhere else, a seamstress tucks rose kerchief under pillow, dream stitching tomorrow's vows. And you pace onward, ready to eavesdrop under balconies where poets gamble on rhyme as boldly as bakers gambled on colored cloth. You leave the alley of trinkets and follow the slope toward a quieter residential quarter where insular apartment blocks 5 stories tall loom over narrow lanes. Lanterns hang from upper windows like drowsy fireflies, their glow-striping plaster walls still warm from the day's sun. The air smells of baking terracotta and fennel sausage lingering from supper. Somewhere above, a door creaks. A jar of bath water empties into a gutter spout, splashing like a tiny waterfall beside your sandals. You duck just in time. Joke one size. In Rome, even romance requires good plumbing awareness. A breeze drifts through the street, carrying fragments of song from a cathara. You trace the melody to a modest domus set back behind an ivy-draped courtyard wall. A young stonemason in patched tunic stands by the gate, plucking strings under the cautious eye of a one-eyed alley cat. He gazes up at a second-floor balcony where wax tapers flicker behind half-drawn curtains, his sweetheart's window. The serenade is soft, barely louder than your breath, but the notes linger, vibrating against travertine like gentle fingertips. Mainstream historical fact. Roman love songs rarely resembled later operatic balcony scenes. Most serenades were whispered to avoid waking strict guardians. Ovid himself recommended a subtle knock, a low tune and a clever verse scratched where only she will find it. Whether sung or carved, discretion was prized. Too much volume risked, inviting a father with a stern look and a heavy sandal. Tonight, the stonemason keeps volume just above cricket chirp. You slip further down the lane, spotting other shadowy figures etched against lamplight, late-night poets with stylus and wax tablet in hand, hunting blank wall space like modern street artists. Graffiti here is no vandal act, but accepted love currency. Earlier you saw "I melt like wax when I see you, Livia." Here fresh lines bloom every night, only to be whitewashed or layered over by dawn. You touch cool plaster and feel faint grooves, yesterday's plea beneath today's blush. One poet unrolls a strip of papyrus, testing phrasing before carving permanent letters. You eavesdrop, Lucretia. You eclipse Diana herself. He grimaces, shakes head too bold, too myth-heavy. Instead he scratches. Lucretia, your laugh rings sweeter than fresh figs. Satisfied, he engraves final version into wall with bronze stylus. Joke 2 hums. Ancient copy-paste is just chiseling twice. Quirky tidbit. Some enamored Romans mixed powdered marble with goat milk to create luminous paint, then wrote messages visible only at dawn's slanted light. Impermanent love notes filtered through sunrise. Others embedded crushed glass in letters so torchlight made words glitter. Archaeologists still find these glass shards puzzling at sparkle patterns like primitive neon signs. Tonight, you spy one such sparkling phrase, "Tibi cor meum," my heart to you, twinkling like constellation shards. You select a blank stretch beneath a pomegranate branch overhanging the lane. Recall the amphora graffiti promise, and carve quickly, "Amor ambulat sandali," love walks on sandals. Not Shakespeare, but perhaps the wool dyer or baker will stroll past. You finish with tiny fish glyph, call back to secret Christian arrow. Stylus ticks stone, dust drifts, a gecko darts across fresh inscription as if to sign approval. Up above, shutters part. A girl leans out, dropping a small woven basket on rope. It swings level with the serenading stonemason. He slips in folded wax tablet and a sprig of rosemary symbol for memory, then tugs rope twice. She reels basket up, reads by taper glow, then shakes out red ribbon that flutters down like comet tail. Everybody in street exhales inaudible awe. Historians still argue whether ribbon colors signified coded answers. Red for yes, white for ask again, black for fathers awake. Ovid implies so, strict Katos grumble otherwise. Tonight, red floats under moon, clearest yes you'll need. Further along, two balconies nearly kiss across lane, so close laundry lines crisscross overhead like festive bunting. A cobbler's apprentice and a vintner's niece trade song snippets back and forth. Call and response verses about stolen figs and clumsy sandals. Each line ends with playful rhyme on amabote, I will love you. Residents below tolerate this nightly duet because the pair also lower baskets of wine so neighbors drink free. Joke 3 winks. HOA fees waived if serenade includes beverage service. You pause beside a Latin inscription half erased by time. Veni vidi amavi. I came, I saw, I loved. Someone added, non reciperat was not reciprocated with smaller letters, ancient burn. Graffiti layers become archaeological heartbreak strata. Future scholars will debate sincerity versus satire. You imagine your own line one day buried under someone else's witty amendment and laugh quietly. Impermanence feels oddly cozy. From a high balcony draped with grapevines, a middle-aged matron spies you, nods politely. She sprinkles rose water from silver ewer to scent alley. A subtle sign she approves, suitor lingering below for her daughter. The aroma drifts down, cool, floral, sleepless. Beneath her, a shy olive merchant holds clay lamp and gift basket of olives stuffed with coriander. The matron waits for proper greeting. He bows, extends basket via pole with hooked end. Delivery system predating drones. Approval scored. She lowers cloth-lined tray with embroidered token, small purse of coins, dowry negotiation seed planted in midnight soil. Torchbearers extinguish last flames along lane, leaving only oil lamps in windows. Dark thickens. Graffiti glows faint with glass chip sparks. Somewhere a lute chorus's final chord, shutters close with wooden hush. You step back, palms dusty from carving, and take inventory. Songs whispered, ribbons flown, walls polyglot with yearning. The lane feels like a diary, margin of the empire, every stone a sticky note of desire. A soldier off duty walks by, rubbing sleep from eyes, admires fresh lines, then yanks stylus from belt to add, Fortis amori. Love is strong. He nods at you, mutual acknowledgement of confessional masonry. Shadowy poet society welcomes all ranks. You smile, leave him scratching Latin cursive, and continue toward wealthier domus district where patrician fathers guard daughters with curfews, stricter than legion watch. There you'll confront elite obstacles, but that's ahead. For now, balcony serenades fade like dying coals, and the street's heartbeat settles to feline yowls and distant fountain sighs. You tap pocket. Mini amphora locket clinks and think how love tokens, kerchief tosses, balcony notes all interlock like Rome's aqueduct arches. Each gesture small, together spanning chasms of social rules. Feet silent on stone, you press forward into deeper night, where wolves on distant hills cry, yet city walls cradle you in terracotta warmth. Graffiti dust lingers on fingertips. You vow not to brush it off, tiny grit of Roman yearning clinging till dawn. You angle north toward the Palatine slopes, where marble facades gleam even in moonlight, and every doorway boasts a vigilant household god, or at least a vigilant doorkeeper with an oiled club. Here lies the upscale romance circuit. Less fluttering kerchief, more accounting scroll, because patrician fathers audit potential suitors as if they were tax ledgers waiting for tidy columns of sestaces. Passing under a carved lintel, you feel the temperature drop. The air smells of myrrh, polished cedar, and the faint tension of arranged futures. A liveried porter halts you with a tap of his vinewood staff. He sizes up your sandals, the cut of your tunic, maybe even the tally of rings on your fingers. Appearance is the first line in tonight's living spreadsheet. Joke 1 whispers, you're basically a walking credit score with a heartbeat. After minimal side-eye, he nods you through the open peristyle. but you notice lesser hopefuls redirected to a waiting atrium where an elderly tutor quizzes them on Virgil pre-screening for literary solvency. Mainstream historical fact. Among Rome's elite, marriage negotiations resembled business mergers. Fathers calculated dowry weight in silver, traced lineage charts back to the Republic, and demanded references from patrons. Love was permitted, provided it balanced the budget. Tonight you witness that arithmetic in motion. A patrician named Lucius Calpurnius Flaccus sits inside a columned courtyard, wax tablets stacked like bricks. His daughter Flavia peers from an upper balcony, caught between compliance and hopeful rebellion. Lucius summons suitors one by one, grilling them on estate acreage, and Senate votes tallied in their lineage. One nervous quester cites ownership of 3 olive groves. Lucius counters with soil quality concerns. Another brags of family vineyards. Lucius notes last year's blight. You stand aside beneath a laurel, observing each line item erased or inscribed. Historians still argue whether this meticulous vetting maintained noble stability or strangled heartfelt unions. Letters suggest plenty of clandestine balcony scribbles despite fatherly ledgers. A young tribune enters next, purple stripe on his tunic bright as sunrise. He presents a wooden abacus to Lucius, sliding beads to display projected profits from new shipping routes. Flavia glances down unimpressed. She plucks fig leaf from balcony plant and lets it float onto courtyard mosaic, secret signal that math alone won't win her. You catch bead of sweat roll down tribune's brow as he tries converting charm into numerals. Joke 2 winks. Nothing deflates romance faster than compound interest tables. A scribe notes each interview, dipping reed in lamp-warmed ink. You peek at the scroll, columns labelled nomen, candidus, trustworthy, denari liquidi, farmer, reputation, astrologus, horoscope score, quirky tidbit. Wealthy Romans sometimes hired astrologers to scrutinize star alignments of proposed unions. An unlucky Mars-Saturn conjunction could torpedo the richest proposal. Tonight, a gaunt astrologer lurks behind a column, whispering planetary verdicts. Lucius nods gravely at Venus in Capricorn, steady but dull, scribbling a cautious plus-minus. Outside in the vestibule, mothers trade gossip like currency. One boasts her son's new mural commission for the Temple of Apollo. Another counters with rumor that same son owes dice debts. Information flies, reputations pivot mid-sentence. You slip past, noting how a single whispered scandal can tilt ledger columns red. Patrician dating may sparkle in marble, but it's fragile as beeswax under torch heat. Flavia disappears briefly, then reappears with small scroll which she drops intentionally toward courtyard fountain. It unfurls mid-air. Inked line reads Porum, leek. Inside joke. Yes, leek symbolizes devoted lovers in Roman folklore because it grows straight and true. A discreet household slave retrieves scroll and under pretense of sweeping, hands it to the stonemason. How did he get invited? Perhaps Lucius needs new villa steps. He pockets scroll, heart-hammering echo into cool marble night. Lucius calls next candidate, son of wealthy equestrian, sporting imported silk trim. He opens with recitation of family triumphs but falters when Lucius asks civic duty statistics. Meanwhile, the stonemason consults Flavia's leek queue, slips tiny carved marble leek left over from his workshop onto a tray of wine cups meant for guests. Servant delivers tray. Flavia spots gift, blushes, then hides smile behind veil. Joke 3 sighs. Move over engagement ring. Veggie jewelry had the field first. Mainstream fact circles back. Women of high rank officially required guardian approval for betrothal until age of majority, but law allowed consensual marriage at 12. In practice, many daughters maneuvered within constraints, using servants, tokens and festivals to steer matches subtly. Scholars debate how much agency they possessed. Tonight, Flavia wields leek and blush like covert weapons. Lucius finishes final interview, rubbing temples. Ledger tablets clack shut. Astrologer nods at stonemason's unobtrusive posture. Maybe stars favor bold humility. Lucius invites candidates to tomorrow's feast for final review. A second-round audition featuring public speaking and gift offerings. Stonemason bows deeply. Silk trim equestrian smugly adjusts fascia. sure of victory. As moon leans west, guests disperse. Flavia descends briefly under pretext of offering lamp oil to household lararium. Passing stonemason, she whispers thanks for fresh produce. He replies he's always in the market, puns striking sparks in midnight hush. You exit courtyard, ledger echoes fading behind. Outside, bronze hinges groan shut. You inhale cooler air, tasting moss and lingering myrrh. Your path heads next to lower-class tabernae, where rules loosen and couples can shape their own ledgers over shared wine cups. But memory of marble calculations lingers, proof that romance shifts tone by postcode, from amphora chance encounters to balcony whispers, to spreadsheet wooing under paternal gaze. You pace downhill, sandals humming faint rhythm, thinking how love in Rome wears many masks. Dice, ribbons, leeks or ledgers, each mask fitted to social rank. And as you step into tavern district's glowing torch haze, you pocket a mental coin embossed with tonight's lesson. Even patrician spreadsheets can't fully contain a well-timed vegetable charm. You descend into the Subura, Rome's restless working-class maze, where taverns glow like scattered coals under a canopy of laundry ropes. Herbal smoke snakes from braziers, mixing with garlic, wine must and wood smoke until the night air tastes like a liquid antipasto. Here, dowries shrink to whatever clinks in a cloth purse, and fathers rarely count lineage beyond the last rent receipt. Love is cheaper, louder, and some say more honest. The street cobbles feel stickier under your sandals. Spilled posca turns the ground into a mosaic of yesterday's revels. You step lightly, following the sound of reed pipes toward a doorway crowned by painted ivy. Inside, the taberna humilis radiates torchlight from cracked walls. Oil lamps hang in clay niches, their flicker turning wine jugs into squat silhouettes. A tavern keeper in sweat-dark tunic wipes a bench with palm frond, then waves you to sit. Benches crowd narrow plank tables. Each table hosts a midnight congress of cart pushers, weavers, muleteers and washerwomen, all trading jokes louder than any patrician dares whisper. Yet even here, romance follows its own etiquette. Wooden cups swap hands like coded scrolls, forming liquid vows no marble ledger could compute. A baker's flour dust cousin, call him Sextus, raises terracotta beaker toward a seamstress named Aelia across the aisle. The cup's rim bears notch carved like half-moon. Tradition says offering a chipped cup shows humility. Accepting means your flaws suit my thirst. Sextus nods, extends cup. She eyes the notch, winks and drinks. Joke one foams. Modern singles obsess over chipped nail polish. Romans flaunted chipped pottery as dating profile honesty badge. Mainstream historical fact. Roman taverns, popinae and caponae, doubled as social hubs for freedmen and slaves. Inscriptions excavated in Pompeii reveal toasts like Bib Felicita, Marsa, and doodles of intertwined wine cups, evidence that sharing a vessel sealed informal engagements. Laws didn't recognize these unions as formal matrimonium, but common law concubinage thrived, giving partners property rights and emotional stakes. Tonight you witness this grassroots contract in action, inked with red Falernian instead of black legal wax. Aelia slides her own smaller cup, glazed with blue swirl, back to Sextus, after dipping rim into honey jar. Returning sweetened wine indicates reciprocity, plus promise of second meeting. His grin lights the room brighter than any torch. He scratches quick tally mark on table edge with belt knife, one notch toward potential dowry savings. Across aisle, two muleteers arm wrestle to decide who foots the next jug. Their biceps ripple, elbows thudding wood. Shrill cheers erupt, rattling clay plates, yet no one scolds volume. The Subura judges romance by decibel, not decorum. You notice wall tiles bearing a poem painted in crude capitals. Nina Oma Celidus Palme Faber. The famed gladiator Celidus loves barmaid Nina. Quirky tidbit. Gladiators often left love graffiti in taverns near their lodging. Scholars found dozens praising barmaids' eyes as sharp as tridents. Nina might not read Latin, but she knows when tip jars overflow after fight night. Historians still argue whether such slogans reflect genuine passion or savvy marketing, boosting both beer sales and gladiator ego. Noise subsides as tavern keeper bangs ladle on bronze pot announcing cup trade round. Couples and hopefuls stand, swap seats clockwise, leaving wine cups behind. New occupant inherits predecessor's cup, sip, and if flavor pleases, may track donor by matching cup design. It's a round-robin flirt that would terrify patrician fathers but delights the Subura. You shuffle one seat. Your new cup features crudely etched dolphin. Its former owner, lean mosaic layer smelling of lime mortar, flashes hopeful grin. You toast, sip, taste smoky cheap Sabanum passes muster. Joke 2 cheers, speed dating plus mystery beer flight, who needs algorithmic matching? A reed pipe trio strikes up bawdy ballad about Venus losing sandal in fish market. Aelia laughs into sleeve, Sextus slaps knee sprinkling flower dust like confetti. They join chorus on refrain, voices sliding off key yet sinking laughter. That shared melody becomes another microbond, intangible yet sticky as spilled honey. Meanwhile, at far table, an ex-legionary slides bronze coin across to Potter's widow. Legend claims coin minted under Emperor Titus brings luck. She tests it between teeth. Soft enough, trust passes with metallic clink. Serving girl balances tray of boiled chickpeas, cheese and warm bread. Couples dip bread into shared olive bowl. Greasy fingerprints mark budding alliances. She sells roasted pine nuts by handful. Each nut cracked open becomes small pause in conversation. Time to roll shoulders closer. You buy 2 handfuls. Pass bowl to mosaic layer. He nods thanks. Praises dolphin cup's art. You admit theft, kidding, but spark set. Joke 3 cracks. Romance menus should list calories in blushes. Near hearth. Young medicus offers to read palm lines, learned after dissecting wounded gladiators. He claims, washerwoman extends hand. He traces lifeline, mumbles prognosis, 3 sons, 1 goat, mild sciatica. She giggles, tugs his sleeve to sit. Palmistry, real or not, greases social wheels. Ayla drags Sextus over for reading. Medicus predicts dough empire and twin daughters. Sextus beams, resolves to need better tomorrow. Above clamour, you spot a scribbled chalk arrow pointing to side door. Curiosity pulls. You slip outside into narrow backyard where modest fountain trickles. Here couples retreat for quieter talk. Lantern on cork float bobs casting gold ripples across water. Sextus and Aelia arrive, still clasping mismatched cups. They rinse rims together, symbolic cleansing of past ties, and refill from communal wineskin hanging on peg. Their whispered jokes carry faintly. Future oven size, flower moustaches on wedding day. You leave them to dawn-coloured dreams, and re-enter tavern. Keeper sets new jug. He eyes your dolphin cup, nods approval. You toast mosaic layer again, but sense your journey must glide onward. There's still Festival of Venus to visit, where temple baths and grove picnics brew new blushes. Yet the taverner's warmth spilt wine, wood smoke, chorus of off-key lovers clings like ember scent to cloak. As you step back into street, a stray puppy follows, licking pine nut salt from your sandal. You laugh, flick nut to curb, and send it scurrying. Moon dips lower, lanterns douse. Behind you, Humilis hums softer, partners peeling off in 2s and 3s. Some carry traded cups, others clutch palm-line prophecies or gladiator graffiti tokens. Bargain vows, yet sincere, papyrus might crumble, but terracotta and shared wine stain endure. Your path climbs toward Aventine's slope where Venus Verticordia's feast prepares dawn garlands. Pomegranate lanterns sway in prep stalls, and bath steam columns rise like early prayers. You adjust cloak, pocket pine nut shells, and savor aftertaste of Suburan hope, raw, smoky, sweet. Tonight's lesson, love wears iron rings in patrician halls, crystal kerchiefs in circus seats, and chipped cups in taverns, but heartbeat truth stays identical beneath each costume. The sky blushes petal pink as you crest the Aventine and join a river of dawn worshippers streaming toward Venus Verticordia's hilltop temple. Incense curls from bronze braziers, weaving licorice sweet smoke through cypress branches. Remember that walnut you cracked in the trinket alley, the one stamped Vidiemi. Every lover here brings a token just as modest, satin ribbons, flower crowns or purple figs to lay at the goddess's feet. Compared with patrician ledgers and tavern cup trades, today feels like Rome's grand reset button. One holy picnic where rank, coin and chipped pottery all melt into shared pollen on the breeze. You pass under an arch of woven myrtle, sandals brushing a carpet of rose petals already bruised, soft as wine foam. Festival servants sprinkle perfumed water that dots your cloak with cool freckles. Mainstream historical fact: the Veneralia opened each April with ritual bathing of Venus's cult statue, followed by public washings in nearby springs. Women sought blessings for beauty, men for charm, and everyone for luck swifter than Mercury's sandals. Ahead, marble steps descend to a natural spring enclosed by lattice screens. Steam rises, carrying faint notes of mint and laurel, ancient aromatherapy. You ease shoes off and wade into ankle-deep water, shimmering like liquid glass. Around you, couples splash shyly, flicking droplets that glitter in sunrise. A pair of newly betrothed teenagers, maybe our feather-ring duo, dunk woven garlands, believing moisture seals their vows. Joke one ripples, nothing cements commitment like communal foot soup. A priestess in saffron stola glides along the edge, scattering barley grains that bob like tiny boats. She murmurs, for sweetness in speech. Everyone hums approval, tongues soaking up placebo eloquence. On the bank, picnic blankets bloom. Dyer's scarlet wool beside baker's flour-dusted linen. You claim spot beneath fig tree where bees hum gossip. Vendors circulate with wicker trays, goat cheese pies drizzled in honey, and little libum cakes studded with pine nuts, echo of last night's tavern snack. You swap 2 bronze coins for a cake shaped like a tiny dove. Steam escapes like sigh when you break it. Quirky tidbit: festival law says sharing first bite ensures arguments never rise louder than cricket chirps for a year. You test by splitting cake with mosaic layer friend from Subura. He toasts with watered wine and vows to keep peace even if your graffiti overlaps his next commission. Nearby, a choir of temple slave girls chants a slow hymn, words rolling like marbles down velvet stairs. Couples weave grass bracelets in sync with rhythm, slipping loops onto each other's wrists. Agelia and Sextus appear, flower dust replaced by olive oil sheen, fingers interlaced through fresh grass cuffs. You catch their wave. Sextus mouths thanks for pine nuts. Joke 2 nods. A good carbohydrate can launch an empire and a marriage. Across the meadow, you spot patrician Flavia under silk canopy, father nowhere in sight. She and the stonemason share fig halves, cheeks flushed. No leek today, instead a small marble dove. His handiwork rests on her lap. Historians still argue whether Venus festivals' equal footing aura genuinely overrode class rules or merely paused them for a day. Flavia's smile suggests temporary truce is plenty. You store scene for callback when we revisit imperial trends. Festival games begin. Tossing hazelnuts into bronze basin. Landing 3 urns kiss coupon. Redeemable before sundown. You try. Nuts clank wide. A young fishmonger nails perfect trio. Hands coupons to seamstress he's eyed since Amphora Isle. She tucks them behind ear like hairpin. Now redeemable at whim. Laughter rolls across meadow, merging with hymn drift. A priest addresses crowd voice, soft yet firm, inviting everyone to write secret wishes on wax tablets, then float them down miniature channel carved through grass toward temple altar. You inscribe Amar Ambulet Sandali again, call back to graffiti, add tiny fish symbol, and release tablet. Water carries it beneath vine arch where smoke coils upward. Joke 3 floats, ancient inbox 0. Pray your message doesn't snag on lily pad spam filter. Mainstream fact slides back. Archaeologists dredged such channels near Venus temples, finding tablets engraved with both racy poetry and mundane pleas. May Gaius stop snoring. Wish diversity humbles you. Love demands big and small mercies alike. Newlyweds dunk toes side by side. Older couples lean on each other's shoulders. Traders script hopes for fair dowry rates. Amid laughter, scholars recite Ovid's softer verses. Even stern matrons smile behind fans. You wander to perfumed tent where cosmetic sellers grind orris root with rose oil, offering free dabs. Venus's sweat, they joke. Men Q2. Equality via fragrance. You apply a dot to wrists, scent unfurls like garden after rain. Beside stall, astrologer draws star wheel in dust, forecasting relationship longevity based on sunrise hue. Some scoff, but everyone looks anyway. Temple bell tolls. Priestesses lead procession to bathe Venus statue in spring water. Crowd hushes. They pour amphora water over marble shoulders. Droplets slide like pearls. Sun catches them, scattering prism flecks across watchers. Silence feels ASMR deep. Only splash, dove chord. Your own steady breathing. The hush recalls finger tap applause at circus, but here it's reverent rather than sly. When bath ends, crowd releases collective exhale. Someone scatters rose petals that swirl upward on warm draft like pink snow. You collect small vial of spring water sold as souvenir. Mix few drops into future bread dough. Sextus says to bake Venus's blessing into crust. Vendors pack leftovers, children chase bees, and couples gather blankets. Picnic morphs into siesta, bodies nestle under cypress shade, whispers soften to hum. You find patch of grass, slip sandals off again, and let warmth seep through soles. As lids grow heavy, you replay festival montages, bath steam halos, grass bracelets, wax wishes sailing. Today love felt less like ledger, more like shared gentle brightness, sunlit echo of hushed nights. Yet festival's peace is fleeting. When dusk returns, social strata snap back. Still, tokens travel with hearts. Marble dove in Flavia's satchel, chipped cups clanking in Sextus's pouch, wax tablet memory under your rib cage. You rise, stretch, sandaled feet ready for next path. Swift wax-sealed tablets risking scandalous interceptions. But for now, grass bracelets tickle wrists, statue bath mist lingers on hair, and Venus's festival stamps morning air with perfume of what might be. Sandal straps tighten, you step away, leaving meadow to birds and distant temple bell echo, carrying spring water vial like secret GPS guiding you toward love's next waypoint. The afternoon sun slides west like a bronze coin across a marble counter, and you leave the flower-strewn meadow with its lingering perfume of rosewater and olives. Your feet carry you toward the Argulatum, Rome's narrow book and stationery street, where rows of scribes sit behind wooden desks tapping styluses against wax tablets in a percussive code older than drum lines. Here is where romance becomes correspondence, love compressed into beeswax and sealed behind signet rings, then whisked off by sandaled couriers who sprint through alley mazes faster than gossip itself. A half-dozen tabulari professional letter runners loiter near a frescoed arch, tunics belted high for speed. Each carries a satchel stitched with the sender's housemark, laurel wreath for senators, she-wolf for city officials, simple intertwined hearts for sweethearts covering their tracks. You watch one courier test a seal by tilting a tablet. Crimson wax glistens, firm but fragrant with myrrh. Joke one whispers. Somewhere a perfumer is quietly thrilled that heartbreak smells like his quarterly bonus. Mainstream historical fact. Roman letters often travelled on thin wax tablets bound like clamshells. Once inscribed, edges were laced shut and globbed with wax bearing a signet impression. Break the seal and every scratch mark shows, making tampering both a risk and an art form. The Imperial Postal Service, the Cursus Publicus, handled official dispatches, but private lovers relied on freelance runners, loyal slaves, or bribed muleteers. Tonight the runners trade route tips like gladiators, swapping sword grips. Via Sacra is clogged with triumph prep, cut through the carine. You duck into a tabularia stall where a gaunt scribe with inky fingernails heats a bronze stylus over coals, softening wax's surface like butter. He gestures for your message. You remember the walnuts vidi me dare and decide to reply on behalf of some anonymous admirer, strict ethical boundaries left back at the tavern. You carve gently. Sivi mi videre, ad pontem sublicium lucuscenti luna. If you wish to see me, come to the Milvian Bridge under the rising moon. The scribe sprinkles charcoal dust to darken grooves, folds tablet, threads leather thong, and proffers a choice of sealing scents, rose, cedar, or bold frankincense. You pick cedar, steady, forest sweet, then press signet, borrowed from mosaic layer friend, a quick dolphin impression beside your fish graffiti callback. Quirky tidbit. Some fashionable lovers embedded slivers of silver leaf inside wax, When couriers rattled tablets, recipients could identify letters by faint metallic tinkle, a privacy ringtone centuries early. The scribe demonstrates with tiny foil scrap shake and it whispers like a seashell. You pay extra 2 asses. Privacy rarely sounded so pretty. Stepping outside, you flag a courier, a wiry Nubian youth named Dices, whose sandals sport extra hobnails for traction. You slip tablet into his satchel, whisper destination. He nods, touching forehead in salute, then takes off with a burst of dust. His route will zigzag past bakeries, over Tiber bridges, maybe through Subura tavern again. Each landmark holds opportunities for interception. Historians still argue whether love letters survived mostly intact or fed a thriving black market in juicy scandal. Court records reveal slaves prosecuted for selling saucy tablets to tabloid poets. You picture Marshall hunched in a corner, chuckling at purloined punchlines. You follow in Dices's wake until street forks into stall-lined corridor of library scribblers, who for a fee memorize messages rather than carry tablets, then recite them miles away to avoid incriminating whacks. One boasts perfect recall of 300 words, another claims he can sing yours back with correct size. Joke 2 hums. Ancient Rome invents end-to-end encryption. Just hope your human server doesn't crash at the wine bar. A bronze statue of Hermes overlooks the fork, sandals winged, scroll in hand. Lovers touch his foot for swiftness before dispatching notes. A seamstress reaches up, murmurs prayer that her letter outrun jealous rivals. In return, she ties scrap of purple thread around Hermes's ankle, a subtle offering. You notice dozens of such threads like festival bracelets fluttering in city wind. Slinging right, you enter Apoxiomenos baths, side corridor where discreet drop boxes hide behind mosaic dolphins. Hollow terracotta bricks with slits, known as Subura, whispers. Couriers shove tablets inside. Slaves retrieve nightly, sorting by carved fish, dove, leek motifs. You slide hand along one slit, cool, secretive, and imagine your cedar-scented message sliding through, humming silver tick. But the path of love mail is never smooth. 2 vigils, city watchmen, stand nearby, grilling a frantic runner whose wax tablet bears a broken seal. They suspect he peeked. Runner swears seal cracked on pothole. They weigh fine versus flog. Tablets in love cases seldom press charges. Public airing worse than fee. You step aside. Joke 3 mutters. If curiosity killed the cat, postal snooping flogged the courier. To bypass risks, some couples employ animal couriers. Down an alley, a boy feeds seed to white pigeons wearing miniature reed tubes strapped to legs. He slides ribbon-thin papyrus inside, seals with bee gum. Release and pigeons loop skywards like love arrows. Skeptics call them nomad soup for hawks. Optimists note pigeons find home faster than gossip finds Senate steps. You ponder cost of avian subcontractors, 1 cestus per flight, bird not included. Sun lowers, you reach Tiber bank, watching barges bob. A fisherman waves smelly sack. He carries river route letters sealed in waterproof goat bladders. Fee includes salmon delivery. River mail, he claims, eludes land robbers. Scholars debate goat bladder survival rate. Aroma risk high, but fish guarantee plausible camouflage. Your gaze follows Dices sprinting across Ponce Fabricius, cloak snapping like sail, tablet still safe, glinting cedar wax. On Isola Tiberina's hump, he'll detour through Temple of Asclepius. Priests rent messenger shortcuts for donations, ensuring divine health for love letters and ankles alike. Evening's first lamps flare as you head home, warmed by hum of endless roots, foot, feather, fin. You imagine Flavia's marble dove perched on windowsill, awaiting tonight's wax-sealed surprise, or Aelia teasing Sextus with parchment scented in time. Messages loop across Rome like threads in colossal loom, weaving intimacy through forums, taverns, palaces. Reaching your lodging, you sniff fingers. Still cedar sweet. You light oil lamp, emboss fresh wax blob on door, dolphin signet marking room for courier returns. You lie on low couch, listening market carts rattle, courier sandals patter, pigeons coo overhead. Somewhere your tablet meets its reader. Maybe reply already laces back through labyrinth. Patience dreamer, in the hush before lamp gutters, trust Hermes's foot traffic. Tomorrow's dawn may deliver answer folded in cedar and silver rustle. Rooster crows ricochet off terracotta roofs as you rise, dust the last crumbs of sleep from your tunic, and march toward the forum's eastern basilica. Wax tablet reply tucked inside your belt. The cedar scent remains, but today's air smells of parchment and quills, your cue that romance has reached its most tangled checkpoint. The law courts, where love morphs into ledger lines and signatures as binding as legion oaths. The Basilica Julia buzzes like a beehive of advocates in snow-white togas. Clerks stride past with armfuls of tablets, their wax surfaces shimmering under skylight as if coated in fresh honey. A public notary calls roll, voice echoing across marble floor. Couples stand shoulder to shoulder before him, flanked by parents and grim-faced guardians. You join the queue, pocketing dolphin-sealed reply, but keen to witness the bureaucratic ballet Romans call sponsolia formal betrothal. Mainstream historical fact. Roman engagements were contracts, not proposals. A father or male guardian pledged his daughter to a suitor, sealing the deal with ora sponsalitia, earnest money, often a copper coin. A handshake, the dextrarum iunctio, served as living signature, and a written pact listed dowry weight, citizenship status, and mutually acceptable grounds for dissolution. Today's clerk rattles off clauses: dowry to include 3,000 denarii, 2 wool cloaks, 1 silver mirror. Bride's family retains right to cancel if groom's census rating drops below equestrian threshold. Love may flutter, but the ledgers stay granite. A honey merchant named Publius steps forward, sweating more than his amphorae in July. His fiancée Livia Minor, not to be confused with balcony graffiti Livia, clutches a sachet of myrtle petals, eyes darting between lawyer scrolls. Publius hands over a modest dowry, 500 denarii, and half partnership in a roadside apiary. The notary nods, scratches stylus, then announces a quirky tidbit. Under Augustus's Lex Papia Popea, bachelors who marry gain tax breaks, but widows lose them after 2 years if they don't remarry. Crowd chuckles. Widowed aunt mutters about state nose in her honey jar. Joke 1 rises. Nothing says I love you like a tax incentive bigger than the bouquet. You sidestep to watch another negotiation. A freed woman named Claudia wants to wed a still enslaved chef, Gaius. Freed persons can marry slaves, but contract stipulates future manumission. Her patron co-signs, promising to buy Gaius's freedom within 5 years or pay penalty of 200 denarii. Historians still argue whether such clauses empowered social mobility or shackled lower-class lovers with impossible debts. Either way, Claudia beams, gripping Gaius's flower-dusted hand-love, budgeting its way through red tape. Your turn at desk. Not as fiancé, but curious amicus testis. Witness. Clerk eyes your dolphin signet, jots symbol on roster. Witnesses earn tiny fee and free front row view. He slides wax board across, a hypothetical contract template. You trace columns: dole's dowry, donatio propter nuptias, groom's countergift, praenomen pater, father's name, ius connubii, citizenship right. Blank spaces stare like open mouths. You imagine filling them for Baker Sextus and seamstress Aelia. Dowry 3 sacks flour, countergift loom repairs, father's name unknown, citizenship checked, pleb. Love math simpler, outside patrician spreadsheets, yet still demands ink. Across aisle, Flavia and the stonemason present marble dove as symbolic arahia. Lucius, patrician father, pinches bridge of nose, but concedes after seeing the craftsman's updated ledgers. Turns out Venus Festival drew patrons to his workshop. Lucius inserts escape clause. If stonemason fails to finish villa stairway by Mars's month, dowry returns. Flavia slips leaked token onto ledger corner. Clark smirks but records vegetable codename. Joke 2 murmurs. Contractor deadlines, older than Rome's bricks. The notary's assistant, a spectacled youth, explains annulment fine print. Breaking betrothal incurs civil suit unless mutual. Returning gifts mandatory. Interest payable after 3 months. He recounts case where groom kept engagement pig. Bride's family sued. Court ruled pig must be returned pregnant with equal value litter. A precedent scribes now reference as sus gravidus clause. Laughter ripples. You add mental note for bedtime jokes. A senator's daughter steps forward bearing parchments stamped with imperial seal. Her contract merges two estates, dowry listed in land acreage, not coins. Father requests clause granting daughter iunctio liberorum, privilege to control property after 3 childbirths, bypassing male tutors. The lawyer hesitates. Law applies mainly to upper-class women. Debate ensues, parchment rustling like restless pigeons. Quill scribes ready amendments, while astrologer, same gaunt fellow from Lucius's courtyard, pipes star alignment favors many offspring. Historians still argue whether astrology swayed legal decisions or simply padded scribe invoices. Joke 3. Want a contract to sparkle, sprinkle stardust, and bill accordingly. Noise crescendos as multiple families haggle over citizenship downgrades, property transfers, and guardianship rights, if wars claim grooms. The basilica becomes market floor where futures trade hands, yet amid clack of styluses and sighs, subtle tenderness flickers, a bride's hand squeezing fiancé's wrist during dowry haggle, a father quietly adding extra wool cloak to daughter's column, the stonemason carving tiny heart onto margin when no one notices. Clerk stamps final contract with lead seal, drips hot wax, presses signets, couples clasp right hands, dextrarum iunctio, sealing more than ink can hold. Some exit beaming, others pale, understanding weight of tablets stacked like anvils in satchels. You follow them out into sunlit forum, reflection flashing off marble, pigeons flutter overhead, one drops whitened verdict on a freshly sealed tablet. Crowd laughs, the god's editorial remark. You retrieve your cedar-scented love reply from belt, feeling its lighter weight compared to these thick betrothal planks. Yet its message may trigger next step toward such contracts. Law waits downstream, ready to net letters blossoming into dowries. You inhale dusty summer air, laced with beeswax and hope, then pivot toward tabloid scribes stationed near rostra. Breakup theatre is their hunting ground, but for now they gather rumors of successful contracts to sell congratulatory poems. While you walk, wax seals cool, hearts warm, and legal knots tighten into gold or iron chains. Rome's romance ledger may tangle, but you've seen how a carved leek, a chipped cup, or a marble dove slips through lines and loops tying numbers to names. Ahead, gossip tables await tragedies where deals unravel. Our next stop, but for a moment, bask beneath basilica colonnade, letting breeze riffle through parchment edges, whispering promises, maybe larger than any coin can measure. You barely turn the corner from the basilica before the forum's breeze carries a different kind of perfume. Ink, wet plaster, and the bittersweet scent of calamity. Breakup theatre unfurls along the Via Sacra like a pop-up tragedy festival, and you, ever curious, stride right into its front row. It starts with a wall, freshly whitewashed at dawn, now speckled with bold black letters, a scribe splashed only an hour ago. Lucia read at Murum, quod Daedalus non tegere potuit. Lucia gives back the wall Daedalus himself couldn't patch. Translation: Lucia dumped Gaius, and he's paying for prime gossip real estate to announce it. A crowd gathers, snickering as a street poet reads the line aloud with theatrical sighs, his hands fluttering like sad doves. Joke 1 winks. Rome invented the subtweet on literal plaster. Mainstream historical fact. Romans devoured public misfortune as keenly as triumphs. Acta Diana, daily notices, posted in the forum listed not only Senate decrees but spicy personal notices, engagements broken, dowries contested, marriages nullified for moral failings. Even exile edicts sometimes included scathing love life footnotes. You can almost hear parchment rustling at tabloid stalls as scribes copy Lucia's wall quote onto cheap papyrus for tomorrow's street hawkers. A herald dressed as Mercury circles with a bell, proclaiming an impromptu court of public opinion at the rostra. That's your cue. Curiosity tugs you towards stone platform, where orators typically debate grain prices. Today it's emotional leftovers on the menu. 2 advocates, one representing Lucia, one poor Gaius, spar with rhetorical flares bright enough to earn thunderous finger taps from circus crowds. Lucia's lawyer waves a stained tunic as Exhibit A, a wine splash Gaius allegedly caused during a jealous tavern altercation. Gaius's defender counters by presenting broken kerchief token, stripes torn, love contract voided. Historians still argue whether such theatrics served genuine mediation or simply sated an audience hungry for melodrama. Judicial roles suggest half of public jiltings ended with couples secretly reconciling once applause faded. A professional Subura comic wanders the perimeter, hawking single-use wax tablets engraved veil. Goodbye. Patrons fling them at defendants like soft darts. One lands at your feet, wax imprint shaped like sad leek, a callback to Flavia's talisman, now parody fodder. You lob it gently at the comic instead. Joke 2 sighs. Merchandising heartbreak, a foolproof recession-proof business model. You drift to a gossip kiosk. Wooden booth plastered with caricatures by street artist Pictor Morris. One fresh sketch shows our baker Sextus crushed beneath giant loaf labelled Amore. Love rose too much. Another depicts patrician Lucius tallying broken coins. A scribe sells copies dabbed with quicklime so the images fade after a day. Ephemeral scandal, he pitches, perfect for discreet collectors. Inside the booth, whispering clerks compile handwritten bulletins titled Tabula Tacta, touchy tablets, ranking day's most dramatic splits. They rate Lucia versus Gaius a strong V8 out of 10, below recent fiasco where senator's son jilted a mime mid-pantomime. Quirky tidbit. High scorers earn satirical songs performed in amphitheaters. Tickets sell out faster than gladiator finals. You watch a lutenist scribble lyrics about Lucia's allegedly shattered amphora dowry. Somewhere, musical revenge is tuning up. Close by, a slender woman in dusty cloak offers breakup remedies. Tiny stoppered vials labeled Memoria Nova. New memory. Sniff contents: mint, myrrh, traces of goat hair, and forget exes in 3 days. Customers debate efficacy, but desperation opens purses. She upsells heart-shaped sponge to blot ex names from graffiti walls. Joke 3 murmurs Rome's self-care aisle is 2 parts snake oil, 1 part goat hair. You edge back toward rostra. Gaius, red-faced, pleads final statement. Claims Lucia returned ring, but kept his favorite dolphin die. Insult squared. The crowd gasps. Aides produce the missing die from folds of Lucia's cloak. She tosses it onto platform. It lands pip up. Nin for Nile. Nothing. Even Fortuna sides with the breakup. Advocates declare contract dissolved. Lucius returns earnest coin. Scribes carve outcome into wax. Bells clang. Verdict notarized in public sight. Gossip run hot. Case closed. Mainstream fact resurfaces. Roman law allowed betrothal dissolution without catastrophic loss if earnest money and gifts returned. But reputational sting lingered. Satirist Juvenal built entire verses on failed unions. For Lucia, some doors may close. For Gaius, others might open out of sympathy. The social aquarium flips currents quickly. Crowd disperses like startled pigeons. Street poet scrapes yesterday's chalk, scribbles new verse. Love's chain, once broken, rattles loudest. You recognize his earlier balcony stanza. Upgrades from romance to heartbreak keep his business afloat. He sells small clay ampules labeled lacrimae Guy. Gaius's tears actually salted water. Teens giggle, buy 2. You step aside, finger cedar-scented reply still unread in belt. You crack seal, scanning lines. The anonymous admirer accepts bridge rendezvous at moonrise. A thrill surges after witnessing so many endings. A fresh beginning feels bolder. Yet breakup theatre offers cautionary overture. Love's wax can melt under forum sun if not sealed tight. Heading south, you spot Mosaic Layer, now scratching over his dolphin graffiti, with new design of broken tail, art imitating gossip. He shrugs. Customers crave realism. Quick currents indeed. Sun sinks, streaking sky copper. You pocket letter, stride toward Milvian Bridge, where promise waits. Breakups, makeups. Rome recycles emotion like marble statues recarved for new emperors. Maybe tonight the cycle tilts favorable. You watch hawkers fetch final profits, limited edition heartbreak tablets, and you chuckle, sandals clicking away from forum echo. Still, echoes follow. Distant crowd laughter, paper-thin singing, mocking exes, stylus tapping sad leaks across plaster. You carry them as caution, not burden. Because in next breath lovers carve initials again, bake shared loaves, hoist chariot kerchiefs, heartbreak scribbles get plastered over by dawn declarations. Rome's walls, like its people, never stay blank for long. You follow the Tiber's moon-silvered ribbon toward the Milvian Bridge, cedar-scented reply, snug under your belt, and heart-beating iambic pentameter. The river slaps its stone embankments with a hush that feels conspiratorial. Yet every other archway you pass offers temptation in the form of sorcerous shortcuts, little booths where love's chemistry is bottled, powdered or pinned through wax effigies. Rome's entrepreneurs never miss a moonlit market. Beside a fig tree, a crone sells cork-stoppered vials labelled Fulgor Veneris, Venus's sparkle, glittery syrup flecked with mother of pearl. Beside her, a skinny youth hawks blood-red cord bracelets promised to bind any heart firmer than legion tent ropes. You pause, inhaling vapors that smell like cinnamon steeped in river mud. Mainstream historical fact, love magic saturated Roman life despite official disapproval. Pliny records recipes mixing rooster comb, honey, and spider webs, while the Lex Cornelia Desicarius et Veneficis threatened poisoners but rarely deterred them. Tablets scratched with binding spells, defictiones, turn up buried near temples, imploring gods or underworld spirits to glue specific lovers' knees to lampposts until they say yes. A pot-bellied peddler beckons you closer, shaking a clay rattle so bone fragments inside clack ominous beats. 2 drops on the tongue, he whispers, and your intended will dream of you till cocks crow thrice. He uncorks vial, releasing whiff of vinegar and crushed rose petals. You ask the price. He names sum equal to 3 nights' tavern tabs. Joke 1 nudges, skip love potion, buy tavern rounds. Results identical, hangover included. Before you can bargain, a stern matron in dark cloak materializes like a thundercloud rolling off Capitoline. She smacks vendor's wrist with olive wood walking stick. Foolish youth, she scolds you. A real union needs bread, not batwing stews. Her voice could sand marble. You recognize her type. Antidotomata, a neighborhood auntie who polices superstition. She pulls out a satchel of plain flour and sprigs of rosemary. Knead these into tomorrow's loaf, she advises, and share it warm. If your beloved still smiles after crust cools, no potion needed. She stomps off, scattering rose petals like defeated confetti. Historians still argue whether such pragmatic matrons curbed harmful magic, or simply redirected trade to quieter alleys. Papyri show laws flared, but love charms persisted. Tonight the tug-of-war plays out in real time. You weigh glitter syrup's immediate allure against rosemary loaf's slow bake. Cedar tablet in belt nudges memory of Sextus and Alelia. Honey plus humility succeeded without spells. You thank vendor politely. Decline purchase. Joke 2 crackles. Love brewed in kitchen at least comes with leftovers. Continuing riverside, you encounter a young praecantrix, spell singer spinning copper thurible, releasing smoke that smells of pine pitch and melted beeswax. She chants in meter, offering personalized incantations carved on lead scrolls. Clients line up. A shy clerk requests spell to cool jealous rivals. A gladiator wants crowd admiration plus sweetheart's faithfulness. Combo discount. She scribbles quick Greek letters, folds lead sheet, and pierces it with nail before dunking in brackish river eddy. Bubbles rise, contract signed with Neptune. She catches you watching, winks, river delivery. No courier intercepts underwater. Quirky tidbit. Archaeologist dredging Tiber finds such scrolls curled like metallic seashells, still prickled by sacrificial nails. You thank her but decline again. Cedar reply feels weightier than any lead spiral. Crossing path under willow, you spot graffiti fish cullback next to new scrawled line. Filtra confide non. Don't trust potions. Perhaps left by earlier skeptic who paid for glitter syrup and woke to an empty purse. Joke 3 swims. The only potion guaranteed to work is a full night's sleep. Bridge arches come into view. Moon suspended between stone balustrades like polished denarius. Torchlight glows ahead at a makeshift stall run by twin brothers in matching red tunics. They sell reversible charms, ivory tokens depicting Venus on one side, Fortuna on the other. Flip depending if you seek love or luck. Both cost extra, they smirk. You spin one, It lands balanced upright, neither goddess willing to commit. You chuckle, drop token back and walk on. Halfway across Milvian Bridge, river breeze carries rosemary scent. Matron's method trailing you. Lamps mounted atop granite pilasters flicker. Reflections ripple below like liquid constellations. You check horizon, moon just rising. Footsteps echo behind. You tense. Could be courier returning or potion peddler seeking second chance. Instead, baker's cousin Sextus appears, flour still in hair from dawn shift. He brandishes a fresh loaf, rosemary baked inside. Tried her advice, he says, breaking warm slice. He saved you a piece. Steam spirals heavenward, mingling with river mist. Flavor earthy, aromatic, bread of sincerity. Ahead, under third sippy, silhouette waits, perhaps your bridge rendezvous. You wave Sextus farewell. He trots back towards Subura, loaf half gone. Approaching figure resolves into wool dyer, but not your anonymous writer. She's here for dawn dye batch water. She passes, nodding recognition, kerchief still rose pink. The figure you seek finally emerges, a cloaked stranger holding walnut shell. She cracks it, reveals lead tablet, your message returned with single word etched. Veni, I came. She lifts hood, henna-fingered matchmaker. Curiosity got the best of me. She smiles. Turns out she'd sent original video me walnut testing would-be storytellers. She wanted proof someone valued narrative over potion fizz. You both lean on balustrade, cedar and henna scents mingling, as Tiber whispers below. No potions, only wit and wax. She drops cracked shell into river. Current sweeps it under arch, bound for sea. You recall Matron's parting line, share warm bread. You break final rosemary piece, offer half. She eats, humming approval. Moon climbs, silvering tablets, leisuring doubts. Love magic stalls fade behind, but their lessons glimmer. Quick fixes tempt, yet stories, bread and honest wax hold deeper power. You pocket empty cedar tablet, seal broken, purpose fulfilled, and gaze north where imperial palace lights flicker. There, emperors' marriages warp trends and popular advice. Your next destination after bridge whispers. For now, river laps stone with lullaby cadence. Henna fingers trace fish graffiti, etched onto balustrade, connecting callbacks stitched since amphora isles. You exhale slow, letting potions glitter settle as harmless dust on sandals. Real magic, you realize, is memory's weave. Leeks, doves, pine nuts, rosemary, dolphins. In that weave you find quiet confidence. Moon hangs steady, heartbeats sync with flow. You turn from balustrade, ready to follow cloaked storyteller toward Palatine's looming silhouette, leaving love sorcery's carnival swaying behind like extinguished incense smoke. The Palatine rises ahead like a sleeping lion, palaces glowing gold beneath torchlit colonnades. You and the henna-fingered matchmaker navigate switchback ramps used by imperial litters, sandals whispering on marble so polished it mirrors constellations. Up here, love stories come larger than life, carved into friezes and echoed in rumor scrolls because emperors date, wed and divorce in ways that ripple clear down to tavern cup trades. Tonight you'll eavesdrop at those gilded doorways, gleaning cautionary tales and fashionable precedents that every Roman baker to senator recites before proposing. First stop, the house of Augustus, where frescoes of swans and laurel wreaths guard the memory of Rome's original power couple. You press palm to cool wall and feel faint vibration of gossip 2 centuries old. Mainstream historical fact: Augustus married Livia Drusilla in 38 BCE, kept her at his side for 51 years, and posthumously declared her Augusta. Their partnership, from shared reading sessions to political strategy breakfasts, became the gold standard for respectable marriage. Ever since, patrician fathers brandish act like Livia during daughter lectures. Joke one flutters. #couple goals invented 27 BCE edition. But not all imperial unions glitter. A torchbearer leads you past a shadowed garden, where statue of Claudius grips scroll beside him. Messalina's marble gaze smolders. Palace slaves still whisper how she arranged secret midnight wedding with lover Gaius Silius, while Claudius toured Ostia. Quirky tidbit: rumors insist Messalina staged bridal procession with silk imported for Cleopatra, returning it before dawn to dodge accounting tablets. That scandal inspired Rome's moralists to draft satire, comparing runaway dowries to leaking aqueducts. Historians still argue whether Messalina's antics spurred Augustus-era reforms into stricter enforcement or served as juicy justification for pamphleteers' wine bills. The matchmaker points to a terrace where Nero once serenaded new bride Poppaea beneath moonlit cypress. He gifted her an entire herd of white Syrian she-camels perfumed with cinnamon. You imagine Poppaea parading them down via Sacra, city choking on spice clouds. Joke 2 snorts. When the honeymoon registry includes 30 camel air fresheners, subtlety is officially beheaded. Yet Nero's indulgence triggered city-wide trend. Next Saturnalia, perfumed goats trundled through Subura, imitation luxury for commoners. Even today, shepherds still rub rosemary on flocks claiming Poppaean fleece fetches higher coin. A marble stairwell leads to reception hall of Antoninus Pius, whose marriage to Faustina Major radiated such devotion that coins minted with their clasped profiles flooded markets. Merchants copied coin imagery onto cake stamps and locket covers, cementing clasp hand motif as universal promise signal callback to our patrician ledgers. Your henna guide slides a bronze token from pouch identical clasped hands. She smirks. Old propaganda sells best. You turn token, note tiny hearts between wrists. Later edition by street artisan. Enter a colonnaded peristyle, where busts of Septimius Severus and Julia Domna flank incense burners. Imperial children once practiced letters here, copying parental endearments that scribes recorded for grammar lessons. Mainstream fact: Julia Domna, a Syrian priest's daughter, negotiated philosophies with senators, boosting exotic mystique of Eastern wives. Suddenly wealthy matrons donned silk caftans and quoted Aristotle to appear Domna-wise, trend that trickled into Subura via cheap linen knockoffs printed with pseudo-Greek squiggles. Joke 3. Sashes, Rome's first runway show. Intellectual chic meets marketplace markdown. Past moonlit pergola. Servants arrange rose petals into heart labyrinth for tomorrow's imperial garden stroll. The aroma pricks nostalgia for Venus Festival meadow. A nearby court eunuch recounts, sotto voce, how Emperor Commodus staged mock weddings with gladiators for sport, losing combatant annulled within hours. Shock value alone birthed urban legend that signing marriage contract with left-hand curses union. Some scribes insist on right-hand signatures ever since. You pause at balustrade, overlooking city quilt of rooftops stitched by torch lines. Henna matchmaker unfolds parchment brimming with imperial lessons. She sells anonymous clients. Copy Livia's loyalty, avoid Messalina's parties, gift Poppaea's luxuries only if pocket allows. She adds new bullet about rosemary loaf success, crediting your tale, teachings flow downhill. By next week tavern couples will toast with Faustina coins baked into crusts for good fortune. A rustle draws attention. Senatorial aides arrive bearing scrolls. They debate proposed edict tightening dowry taxes, citing clause to curb Messalinian excess. Your guide scribbles mental note. New talking point for fathers tomorrow. Policy pendulum swings whenever palatial rooms echo with scandal. Commoners adapt, sometimes subvert. You recall break-up theatre's goat-haired memory potion hawker, capitalizing on emperor-driven moral whiplash. Moving on, you reach veranda, where marble relief depicts Hadrian and Antinous rowing Nile. Though not a marriage in legal sense, their bond sparked commemorative festivals and star-charted naming ceremonies. Result: fashionable couples began naming children after mythic river spirits, doubling baby name stalls by Tiber docks. Historians still argue how non-traditional imperial relationships subtly widened Rome's love rubric beyond legal matrimony. Your guide notes rising demand for bespoke name scrolls. Business never sleeps. Moon dips toward horizon. Brass water clock gurgles final drip. Palace corridors quiet. You and henna guide retrace steps past incense urns, absorbing tapestry of imperial love, steady as Augustus, tumultuous as Nero, calculated as Lucius's spreadsheets. Their stories walk public advice like sun-tilting sundial's shadow. Baker Sextus might copy Augustus's loyalty vow, while tavern singers parody Claudius's heartbreak. In Rome, every couple measures self against palace silhouettes, even if only through rumor lens. Descending hill, city buzz returns, vendors prepping dawn bread, Couriers skipping over cobbles, first rooster testing throat. Imperial palaces fade behind cypress curtain, but their influence rides your shoulders like embroidered cloak. You pocket bronze clasp hand token, its propaganda glow now personal souvenir. Ahead waits last chapter of your nocturnal stroll, echoes in ruins, modern romantics tracing ancient sandal prints, but tonight's takeaway settles deep. Giants on marble thrones shape love's weather forecast, yet under these forecast rosemary loaves still bake, cup rims still chip, kerchiefs still flutter. You smile at henna guide, she mirrors grin, ink smudge on cheek from note-taking frenzy. Together you enter dawn-brushed forum, ready to watch history reset dials once more. Street lamps flicker off one by one, as sunrise washes Rome's ruins in apricot light. You wander the quiet forum like an early bird tourist with the keys to time itself, your sandals crunching wood ash left by last night's torch stubs. Marble columns, some toppled, some defiant, stand like half-remembered conversation starters, and every stone, every pitted inscription, feels ready to whisper the dating tips it's collected for 2,000 years. You thread beneath the arch of Titus, fingertips brushing carved ivy. A flock of present-day joggers trots past in neon trainers, earbuds pumping playlists where Lyre once hummed. They hardly notice you, but their route follows those old amphora aisles and taberna shortcuts. Joke one nods. Even the most modern running app can't invent a path Augustus didn't pace first. Mainstream historical fact. After the fall of the empire, medieval Romans quarried forums for marble. Yet they left some foundations because pilgrim traffic, read, early tourism, needed orientation points. Renaissance artists later sketched the same stones you now study, hoping to bottle antiquities romance for patrons. Today, engaged couples hire photographers to pose them before those arches, recreating dextrarum iunctio, the clasped hand motif you saw on Faustina coins. Their fingers lace just where patrician fathers once haggled dowries, proof that marble's softer than memory. A young traveler snaps selfie beside an ancient graffito. I melt like wax when I see you, Livia. She adds digital hearts, posts to socials with caption OG love note. Historians still argue whether preserving graffiti erodes dignity or extends voices of everyday Romans. Conservationists now coat walls with breathable resin. Quirky tidbit. One startup sells augmented reality filters that overlay ruins with reconstructed frescoes, and yes, they include those spicy breakup quotes you watched yesterday. Joke 2. Clicks. Apparently the only thing Rome's walls were missing was a like button. Past the temple of Castor and Pollux, you spot a modern street vendor hawking souvenir dice carved from scrap travertine. Letters instead of pips. Roll a more today, roll valley tomorrow. He winks. You buy a pair. They clack in pocket against bronze clasp hand token. A little percussion section of callbacks. Amphora dice, circus kerchiefs, rosemary loaf. Your guide from last night has slipped away. Matchmakers always vanish before breakfast, but her henna shadow stripes linger on your conscience, reminding you to pass stories forward. At the Curia, scaffolding supports cracked walls. Two graduate students balance laptops on fallen column drums, writing dissertation chapters on Roman marriage law. They argue about sus gravidus precedent, the pregnant pig clause you heard, while sipping cappuccinos. You grin, realize Gaius and Lucia's fiasco has evolved into peer-reviewed footnote. Joke 3 foams. Heartbreak may sting, but it sure fattens academic citation counts. You rest on fragment of fluted column and open tablet of cedar reply again, letting aroma mingle with sunrise. It's wax-cooled, message fulfilled, but you reread lines and sense their timeless echo. Love, whether arranged by spreadsheets, sealed with chipped cups, or mailed by cedar-scented courier, always leaves residue sturdy enough to fossilize in hearts and sometimes stones. Tour guides gather early groups. One points at Basilica Aemilia Portico and recounts story of matchmakers whispering lineage secrets. Her spiel mirrors yours, proof oral tradition sprinted ahead of printed fact long ago. A toddler tugs parent's sleeve, asking why the big wall says tibi cor meum. Parent shrugs. You supply translation. My heart to you, and toddler writes invisible heart mid-air. Nearby, a busker strums acoustic guitar, no kythera, but but close, and sings Ovid verses set to folk chords. Coins tinkle. His girlfriend passes hat, sporting t-shirt that reads "Venus is my wing woman." You wonder if her rosemary perfume nods to festival tradition. Mainstream fact loops back. Rosemary sprigs still appear in Italian wedding bundles. Pastry shops bake panis rosmarinus for luck. Sextus and Alelia would smile. A drone buzzes overhead, filming panorama. Tech weaves with antiquity, layering memory upon memory like a milfo. You toss your travertine dice onto column base. They roll. AMOR. You laugh. Odds were 1 in 36. Fortuna still flirts. Dice will join cedar tablet and bronze token in pouch. The new love kit for next traveler. Temple bells chime from distant Trastevere. City stirs. You rise, pat column dust from tunic, and whisper thanks to stones for lending their stories. As you leave Forum for shaded alley, wind whirls rose petal ghost from yesterday's meadow. It lands on dice, sticks with morning dew. You pocket petal too. Story garnish. Rome's dating advice toolkit is never quite full. Step by step you exit ruins, but echoes follow. Finger tap applause, broken heart plaster, bread steam, henna ink. These sounds and scents braid into lullaby threads. You feel them tuck around, listener, you like soft wool blanket. It's nearly time to close eyes and let amphora dice tumble across dream floor. Settle back, breathing slowly, as Rome's sunrise hush melts into gentle twilight in your room. Picture the forum emptying, marble columns exhaling day's last warmth, while a single dove circles above Arch of Titus before nesting among vines. In the growing calm, let your shoulders release their stored city dust. Imagine warm rosemary-scented bread resting on the table beside you, crust crackling in a promise of comfort. With every breath, the distant clatter of chariot wheels fades further, replaced by the soft rhythmic lap of the Tiber at nightfall. Inhale, and you taste faint cedar lingering from sealed tablets. Exhale, and feel any knots, legal or emotional, unwind like loosened sandal straps. The river's steady current guides wax messages downstream, carrying yesterday's anxieties beyond sight. Allow moonlight to slip across your skin like silk kerchief, fluttering once, then settling. Its cool glow smooths over amphora graffiti, over scratched breakup verses, over marble dove tokens, until every past scribble blends into soothing silver hush. You're standing on Milvian Bridge again, watching reflections crease the water, but now the river is still, polished like obsidian, mirroring quiet constellations and your own calm gaze. If stray thoughts arrive, a ledger column, a circus roar, greet them kindly, then drop them into the Tiber's surface. See them ripple, sink and dissolve, leaving only widening rings of peace. Your breath slows to match those rings. In 2, 3, out, 2, 3, soft as rose petals settling onto warm stone. Know that love's many threads, dices, leaks, tokens, jokes have woven gentle blankets around you. The city's echoes fade to a restful murmur. Let eyelids drift, mind sink, heart ease. The night keeps watch like ancient household gods. Sleep now, traveler, cradled in Rome's timeless lullaby.